Welcome to the English Desk. This channel takes English apart and puts it back together in a way that makes sense. Short lessons, clear examples. Let's get into it.
Today, we're doing a bit of a communication hack. We're diving into a set of sources that promises a shortcut to, I think, really effective English.
Right, and not through memorizing vocabulary lists or complex grammar rules.
Exactly. It's about mastering the social signals that are sort of hidden in simple sentence structures.
That's it. Our source material really focuses on what they call the power of polite English. And when I say power, they don't mean dominance or anything like that. They're talking about efficiency.
Efficiency, I like that.
Yeah. So the mission today is to quickly unpack four foundational techniques that show how these small, almost effortless tweaks in your language can lead to huge shifts in your effectiveness,
And how natural you sound, which is key.
which is so key.
And I find this absolutely crucial. When you look at the source material, they make this compelling case that, this isn't just about good manners.
No, it's not just fluff.
Not at all. It's a strategic tool. They frame it as powerful English. It's about reducing friction, getting what you want faster, and just making sure your message actually lands.
And if you're a learner who wants to maximize your impact, you have to move past just being grammatically correct. You want to sound like you get the social dynamics inside the language.
Right.
And these four techniques, they're the keys to that.
Yeah.
They help you avoid sounding, abrupt or demanding, which can happen even with perfect grammar.
Okay, let's get into the first one. This feels like the most foundational technique, the one anyone can start using immediately. The sources say to start by eliminating harsh commands.
Those direct imperative statements, yeah. And replacing them with something much softer.
Modals. So why does a direct command like "give me the report" land so poorly?
Well, think about the implicit social contract in any conversation. A direct order puts all the pressure on the listener. It sort of leaves no psychological room for them to refuse.
And that can come across as really demanding.
Exactly. Even if you don't mean it to.
So we have the basic command, do this. Simple grammar, but like you said, a lot of social weight. So how does a modal verb dismantle that?
It's a genius little linguistic maneuver, really. By adding a modal verb like could or would, you're fundamentally changing the sentence type.
You're not giving an order anymore.
They're not. You're transforming an instruction into a question about the other person's ability or willingness to do the thing. You're inviting them to collaborate instead of just ordering them.
The moment you switch from do this to could you, you've done a complete social reframing. You've signaled respect. And the sources give a couple of really clear examples of this.
They do. The first is that simple move from the harsh do this to the indispensable could you. That should just become an automatic substitution in your head.
Right.
The second one takes it a step further. It's for when you're asking for, physical objects or making an immediate request. Instead of the blunt, give me that, you use the structure. Would you mind?
Ah, would you mind? I love that one because it's so deferential. You're not even asking for the object. You're asking, does doing this for me cause you any trouble?
Precisely. It's a very high level of courtesy packed into just a few words.
So if you only take one thing away today, making could you or would you mind your go-to for any command is probably the fastest way to sound more powerful and natural.
Maximum return, minimal effort. But we can't stop there. Once you have that foundation, then we get to talk about layering.
Right. Which brings us to segment 2. This is about softening requests even more. So if modals are the foundation, how do we, decorate the structure to make it even better? The source says combining these elements work wonders.
It absolutely does, because that combination, it signals respect and consideration that goes beyond just the basic grammatical courtesy of the modal.
So what are you actually signaling?
Linguistically, you're telling the other person, I am being extra thoughtful about how I ask this of you. That little bit of extra effort gets noticed, and it dramatically lowers any psychological resistance to the request.
Okay, I can see the social benefit, but let me ask a genuine question here. Isn't effective communication also about being efficient? I mean, send the file is fast.
Sure.
Could you please send me the file? I've added 3 extra words. Is that worth the time?
That is a critical question.
Yeah.
And the answer, according to the sources and, frankly, communication theory in general, is a definite yes. You save time on the back end.
How so?
You might take an extra second to say those polite words, but you gain minutes, maybe even hours, by avoiding the need to clarify your tone later, or apologize for being abrupt. You avoid that low-grade resistance you get when people feel like they're being ordered around. You're minimizing friction.
That makes perfect sense. So a tiny upfront cost in words buys you long-term smoothness. Let's use the textbook example for this. We start with the direct command, send me the file. It's just too sharp.
Way too sharp for most professional contexts.
So how do we turbocharge it with politeness?
We just use both techniques at the same time. You apply the foundational modal, could, and then you layer on that simple, powerful word, please.
And the result is the much improved, friction-free phrase.
Could you please send me the file?
That combination of the modal verb could and the word please just elevates the whole thing. It shifts the communication from a simple transaction to a polite, collaborative engagement. That is powerful English right there.
Exactly. It just clears the pathway for compliance. The takeaway here is that you shouldn't see these techniques as one or the other. They're additive. The real power comes when you layer them.
Okay, so moving on from simple additions, we have to look at requests that need more than just adding a word. They need structural changes. This is segment 3, rewiring the core of your question so you don't sound like you're interrogating someone.
Right. This is a common one when we're asking for information. Even if you start with a gentle, could you? If the rest of the question is structured too aggressively, it can still sound abrupt.
Give me an example.
A simple question like, where's the station? It seems fine, but it forces an immediate factual answer. It can feel like an intrusion, depending on the context.
And the key is avoiding that feeling of intrusion. The source material shows us that the solution is structural politeness, often through what are called embedded questions.
Right. You don't ask the question directly. You embed it inside a polite introductory phrase.
Let's break that down because I think this is where a lot of learners can stumble. You take your direct question, where is the station?
And you start by adding that polite intro phrase with the modal. Could you tell me?
But, and this is the crucial part for sounding natural, you can't just glue the two parts together. You can't say, could you tell me where is the station?
No, that sounds stilted. It's a dead giveaway.
So what's the fix?
Once you use that introductory clause, could you tell me the part that follows, the where the station is part? It has to go back to a standard statement word order. You drop the question inversion.
Ah, so the verb comes after the noun.
Correct. The main question has been shifted into a subordinate clause, and that demands statement syntax.
So that little shift from is the station to the station is the structural key that unlocks this higher level of politeness.
It is. You're shifting the focus from the answer itself to the person's ability to give you the answer, which is far more considerate.
And we also revisit that mind construction here for structural politeness, right?
We do. Especially for requests that involve a physical action or, an interruption.
So we saw would you mind as an alternative to give me that. Now let's apply it structurally to a specific request, like give me the book. How does that polite frame change the grammar?
This is another one of those structural rules you just have to nail down. If you use would you mind, the verb that comes right after it has to be in the gerund form.
The verbing.
The verbing form, exactly. So give me the book transforms into the much more courteous, would you mind giving me the book?
Once you master those two structural changes, the embedded question and the would you mind plus verbing construction, you really stop sounding like you're just repeating phrases from a textbook.
You start sounding like a skilled communicator who actually understands the nuances of the language. These are probably the most challenging of the 4 techniques, just because they require internalizing a different sentence structure. But the payoff in perceived fluency is huge.
Absolutely. But let's finish strong with the absolute easiest wins. This is segment 4, the effortless elevators. We started with modals, moved through layering and structural shifts, and now we're back to simplicity. What simple, almost automatic words can just drastically improve communication with zero cognitive load?
Yeah, this is the section that offers the highest strategic return for the absolute lowest effort.
Yeah.
The source confirms that these basic pillars of courtesy just instantly elevate your English. We're talking about words that should become automatic social lubricants.
We all know them, but I think sometimes, especially when you're under stress or so focused on the message itself, we forget to deploy them strategically. So which specific words are we talking about?
We are focusing on 3. Please, thank you, and, excuse me, they're like the quick release valves in any social or professional interaction.
But here's the strategic insight, right? It's not just using them as an afterthought.
That's the key distinction. It's not just saying thank you at the end. It's using, proactively to soften an interruption before it even happens.
Ah.
Excuse me is your tool for breaking through a conversation or interrupting someone's workflow without causing offense. It basically buys you permission to speak.
And what about thank you?
Thank you can also be used proactively. Instead of waiting until after they've done you the favor, you can try saying, thank you in advance for looking at this, or I really appreciate your help with this.
So that proactive gratitude establishes goodwill before the task even begins.
It does. It completely reframes these simple words. They aren't just, nice little additions. They're social tools that manage the emotional cost of your request.
And for someone wanting fast, effective learning, just integrating these 3 words strategically is the quickest way to sound professional and considerate.
It ensures your language always has that crucial element of consideration, which the source links directly to power.
Okay, let's bring this all back together. Let's summarize those 4 critical categories. First, we had the necessary substitution of direct commands with those foundational modals.
Like could and would you mind?
Second, we looked at layering combining modals with words like please to reduce friction.
As in, could you please send me the file?
Third, we tackled the more complex but incredibly valuable structural shifts for polite questions.
Right, moving from the abrupt, where is the station, to the much smoother, could you tell me where the station is?
And finally, we stressed the effortless elevators. The strategic use of please, thank you, and excuse me.
Your professional social lubricants.
So what's the big takeaway for you, the learner? I think it really solidifies the main conclusion from the source material. Polite English is powerful English.
It really is. It's not always the content of your words, but the framing around them that ensures they're received effectively. The power is in delivering your message without creating discomfort for the listener.
These adjustments move you from just being understood to being highly effective.
Absolutely.
And that leaves us with a provocative thought to consider. If just adding a few words or changing the syntax of a question can make your English feel so much more natural and effective, what assumptions are you making about your own communication style? Maybe you think that being brief is always best. Could that be inadvertently decreasing your professional or social power? It's just something to mull over the next time you write an important email or have to ask for directions.
Until next time, keep diving deep into the knowledge.
Thank you for being here. More English made simple in the next video.